All right, so get this. We're talking about a crypto heist that makes Ocean's 11 look like, like a trip to the penny arcade.
Yeah.
$1.5 billion. Poof.
Yeah.
Stolen from the ByBit crypto exchange. And guess who's behind it? You ready for this? North Korean hackers.
It's almost unbelievable, right? This case really throws a spotlight on the whole world of cryptocurrency, especially the tug of war between anonymity and security.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's make sure we're all on the same page. For those of you who aren't crypto experts, what exactly are we talking about when we say crypto exchanges? It's kind of like a digital bank, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Crypto exchanges are online platforms where people can buy, sell, and trade different cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum, and just like banks, they need ways to store all that digital cash securely.
So that's where hot wallets and cold wallets come in.
Exactly. Imagine a hot wallet as the exchange's cash register. It's connected to the internet and allows for quick transactions. But for the bulk of their funds, they use a cold wallet, which is offline and way harder for hackers to reach. Think of it like a super secure vault tucked away in a secret location.
So in this case, ByBit was using a company called Safe Wallet to move funds from their cold wallet, and that's where the hacker struck.
Right. What's mind-blowing is they managed to tamper with the transaction address without setting off any alarms in the user interface. So from ByBit's perspective, everything looked normal until, bam, the money was gone.
Wait, so they made it look like the money was going to the right place, but it was actually being diverted to the hackers. That's crazy sneaky.
It is, and it takes a lot of technical know-how to pull that off. This is a classic example of a man-in-the-middle attack, and it points to the fact that we're not dealing with some amateur hackers here.
Which brings us back to North Korea. They've been linked to some other huge crypto heists, like the Ronin Bridge attack a couple of years ago, which netted them $600 million. So this isn't their first rodeo, huh?
Not even close. They've been honing their cyber skills for over 15 years, basically turning cybercrime into a state-sponsored enterprise.
So this heist wasn't just about lining someone's pockets. It was a strategic move by North Korea to fund their activities. It's like they're using stolen crypto to fuel their ambitions, which makes them a pretty formidable enemy, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And it raises a lot of questions about how to combat this type of state-sponsored cybercrime.
Okay, so let's rewind a bit. ByBit realizes they've been hit. What happens next? Do they just wave the white flag and say game over?
Not at all. They came out swinging. They confirmed the theft, assured their customers that their personal funds were safe, and even took out loans to replace the stolen Ethereum. It was like they declared war on the hackers.
Wow, that's a bold move. I guess when you're dealing with $1.5 billion, you don't just shrug it off. But how do you even begin to track down stolen cryptocurrency? It's not like they can follow a trail of marked bills, right?
It's definitely not that simple, but remember, every transaction is recorded on the blockchain, which is a public ledger. Think of it like a digital trail of breadcrumbs, though it can be a very convoluted trail to follow.
So there's a record of where the money went. It's just a matter of deciphering. Did ByBit hire some kind of crypto Sherlock Holmes to crack the case?
Well, they did something pretty clever.
Yeah.
They implemented a bounty system offering rewards to anyone who could help track the stolen money. It's like crowdsourcing the investigation.
That's a brilliant strategy. Tap into the collective intelligence of the crypto community. So are they actually making any progress?
It's an uphill battle. These hackers are masters of disguise when it comes to moving money. They use all sorts of techniques to obscure the trail elliptic. A crypto investigation firm has been on the case, and they describe the money trail as an explosion of transactions.
Okay, so imagine a single drop of water splashing into a swimming pool. That's what they're dealing with.
That's a great analogy. The hackers are using automated tools and techniques to move the money through multiple exchanges, mixing it with other funds and converting it into different cryptocurrencies, all to make it nearly impossible to trace.
And I'm guessing the FBI has gotten involved at this point. After all, we're talking about a massive international cybercrime.
Absolutely. They've been investigating North Korean cybercrime for years, and they've even got some alleged North Korean hackers on their cyber most wanted list, but catching them is another story.
Because North Korea is like a fortress.
Right.
Incredibly difficult to get inside.
Exactly. Extradition from a country that's essentially closed off to international law enforcement is nearly impossible.
So you've got this incredible heist, a company fighting back with everything they've got.
Right.
And these shadowy figures in North Korea pulling the strings. It's like a real-life spy thriller, but it gets even more complicated, right? Because there's some drama happening within the crypto industry itself.
That's right. And it really gets to the heart of some fundamental questions about the future of cryptocurrency.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, it turns out that ByBit has publicly accused another exchange exec of not cooperating in stopping the laundered funds. They're claiming that X is basically turning a blind eye to criminal activity by allowing the stolen money to flow through their platform.
Whoa, that's a serious accusation. But I'm guessing X has their own side of the story.
They do. The owner of X, Johan Roberts, has pushed back, saying they didn't initially stop the funds because of a dispute with ByBit and because they weren't entirely sure the coins were actually from the hack.
So there's some bad blood between these exchanges.
It seems that way, and to make things even more complicated, Roberts also argues that forcing companies to identify crypto customers goes against one of the founding principles of cryptocurrency anonymity.
So it's a clash of ideals. On one hand, you want to stop criminals, but on the other, you want to protect the privacy that cryptocurrency offers.
Exactly. And this case has brought that tension to the forefront.
So we've got North Korean hackers, a $1.5 billion crypto heist, and now some serious drama within the crypto industry itself. It's a tangled web, that's for sure.
It is. And in the next part of our deep dive, we'll untangle this web a bit more and explore what it all means for the future of cryptocurrency.
So we just heard about ByBit pointing the finger at another exchange, X, for not helping stop the flow of stolen crypto. But EX is basically saying, hey, anonymity is kind of the whole point of crypto, right? So where does that leave us?
It really exposes a fundamental dilemma in the crypto world. How do you balance the need for security with the desire for privacy?
Yeah, it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
If you crack down on anonymity, you risk alienating a lot of crypto users who value their privacy. But if you don't, you can end up creating a haven for criminals.
Exactly. And the outcome of this case could have a ripple effect on the entire industry. It could push regulators to step in and impose stricter rules, or it could lead to the development of new technologies that enhance security without sacrificing anonymity.
Okay, so let's play this out for a second. Let's say the authorities actually manage to track down those stolen funds. What happens then? Do the hackers just hand over the keys to their crypto vault?
It's rarely that straightforward. Recovering stolen cryptocurrency is incredibly difficult, even when you can trace the transactions. These hackers are like digital Houdinis. They know how to vanish into thin air.
So even if they find the digital breadcrumbs, they might not be able to get their hands on the actual loot. That's frustrating.
Very much so, and it highlights the challenges law enforcement faces in the world of cybercrime. The traditional tools and tactics just don't always apply.
But the blockchain is a public record, right? Doesn't that make it easier to track down criminals than, say, traditional money laundering schemes?
It can be, but it also creates new opportunities for savvy criminals. The hackers might use something called chain hopping, which is basically like jumping between different train lines to lose a tail. It makes it much harder to track where the money is going.
So they're constantly shifting the money around to throw investigators off their scent. Sneaky.
Exactly. And then there are mixing services. Imagine throwing your money into a giant pot with everyone else's, making it nearly impossible to tell whose money is whose.
So it's basically a high-stakes game of cat and mouse,
Yeah.
but on a global digital scale. And the outcome could have major consequences for the future of cryptocurrency.
Absolutely. If this case leads to a massive loss for ByBit and the people who helped fund their recovery efforts, it could shake confidence in the entire crypto market. People might start to question whether it's really a safe and reliable way to store and transfer value.
You're talking about a potential turning point for cryptocurrency. On the one hand, it could lead to greater scrutiny and regulation, which some people argue is necessary to prevent future heists. But on the other hand, it could stifle innovation and push crypto further into the shadows.
And that's where things get really interesting. The next few months will be critical for the crypto industry. Will it rise to the challenge and find ways to enhance security without compromising the core values of decentralization and anonymity?
It's a tough question, and one that the entire crypto community is grappling with.
It's important to remember that the world of cryptocurrency is still relatively young. It's evolving rapidly, and with every challenge, there's an opportunity for growth and innovation.
So maybe this heist, as devastating as it is, will ultimately force the industry to mature and become more resilient.
Yeah.
It's like that's saying what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
I agree, and it's not just about the technology itself, it's about the people who are using it. We need to foster a culture of responsibility and vigilance within the crypto community.
We've talked a lot about the technical aspects of this heist and the challenges of recovering stolen cryptocurrency. But what about the human cost? I mean, $1.5 billion is an astronomical sum of money. What does that kind of loss mean for ByBit and for the people who invested in their platform.
It's a significant blow, no doubt about it, and it underscores the importance of due diligence when it comes to choosing a crypto exchange. Investors need to be aware of the risks involved and take steps to protect themselves.
Yeah, it was a harsh lesson, but an important one. Trust, but verify, as they say.
Exactly, and I think this case has also highlighted the need for better communication and transparency within the crypto industry. Exchanges need to be more forthcoming about their security measures and their efforts to combat money laundering.
And users need to do their homework too. Like anything else, you need to educate yourself before you jump in head first.
Absolutely. And there are some great resources out there for learning about cryptocurrency and how to navigate the space safely. Don't be afraid to ask questions, do your research, and start small.
So what does this whole saga tell us about the future of cryptocurrency? Is it destined to become a playground for criminals, or can it truly evolve into a secure and reliable financial system?
That's the million-dollar question, and I don't think anyone has a definitive answer, but one thing is clear: the stakes are incredibly high. The decisions we make now as individuals, as companies, and as a global community will shape the future of this technology.
It's a fascinating and complex landscape, that's for sure. And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm left with a sense of both excitement and caution.
I think that's a healthy perspective. Crypto has the potential to revolutionize the way we think about money and finance, but it's important to proceed with both enthusiasm and a healthy dose of skepticism.
Okay, so we've been on this wild ride through the world of cryptocurrency, billion-dollar heists, shadowy hackers, and a whole lot of questions about the future of this technology. It feels like we're at a crossroads where security, anonymity, and innovation are all kind of colliding.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. This ByBit heist has really thrown those tensions into sharp relief, and it's forcing us to ask some tough questions about what needs to change for crypto to really thrive.
So let's imagine for a moment that we have a crystal ball. What does the future hold for cryptocurrency? Does it become more mainstream, more regulated, or does it kind of retreat back into the shadows?
It's hard to say for sure, but I think a few things are becoming clear. First, the days of the Wild West in crypto are probably numbered as more money flows into this space and the stakes get higher. We're going to see more pressure for regulation.
So you're thinking something like what we've seen in traditional finance, know your customer rules, anti-money laundering protocols, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Regulators are already starting to pay closer attention to crypto, and I think that trend is only going to accelerate now. Whether that's a good or bad thing depends on who you ask by. Some people see it as a necessary step to protect investors and prevent illicit activities. Others worry that it will stifle innovation and undermine the decentralized spirit of crypto.
It's like that classic debate, freedom versus security.
Right, and finding that balance is going to be key for the future of crypto. We need regulations that provide safeguards without stifling the creativity and entrepreneurial energy that have made crypto so exciting.
But even with regulations, aren't these kinds of heists still possible? I mean, if North Korea can pull off a $1.5 billion hack, what's to stop other sophisticated actors from doing the same?
Well, it's a valid concern, but remember, security is a constantly evolving game as hackers develop new tactics. The good guys are also working on ways to stay one step ahead. We're going to see a lot of investment in cybersecurity within the crypto space, and that's going to drive innovation in things like multi-factor authentication, fraud detection, and secure storage solutions.
So it's kind of like an arms race, but instead of weapons, we're talking about code and algorithms.
Exactly. And the outcome of that race will have a huge impact on whether crypto gains mainstream acceptance. People need to feel confident that their digital assets are safe and secure before they're willing to fully embrace this technology.
We've talked a lot about the challenges facing crypto, but let's not forget about the incredible potential this technology has, the power to transform the way we think about money finance and even governance.
Absolutely. Crypto offers a vision of a more open, transparent, and equitable financial system, one where people have more control over their own money and where barriers to entry are lowered. That's a vision worth fighting for.
So for all the listeners out there who are intrigued by crypto, but maybe a little intimidated by all the technical jargon and the stories of these massive heists, what would you say to them?
I'd say don't be afraid to dive in, educate yourself, start small, and remember that crypto is still in its early stages. It's a journey, not a destination, and like any journey, there are going to be bumps along the road, but the potential rewards are enormous.
Well said. And as we wrap up this deep dive into the ByBit heist and the future of cryptocurrency, I think the key takeaway is this crypto is here to stay. It's evolving rapidly. And it's going to continue to challenge our assumptions about how money and finance work.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be following the space, and I think we're only just scratching the surface of what's possible.
Thanks for joining us on this journey, and be sure to tune in next time for another deep dive into the most fascinating and thought-provoking topics of our time.